Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to the Duskmourn House of Horror Arena Direct Draft. Without further ado, let's just get into our pack one pick one here, trying to win some more boxes. We've got some really sweet rares. I think the pick is definitely one of these. Actually, Trapped in the Screen is quite high up there as well. It has very powerful removal that's also easy to splash if you're like some kind of green deck or something. But Razorkin Needlehead, pretty strong card for any aggressive red deck. Does require you to be deep into red. It is a double red 2-drop you really want to cast on turn 2, so a slightly restrictive mana cost. But I'm actually going to go for the card with an even more restrictive mana cost because I think it's really good in its respective archetype, which is any Rakdos deck here. The Undead Sprinter, 2 mana 2/2 trample haste, but you can cast it from your graveyard if a non-zombie creature died this turn. So if you're just attacking in with stuff and getting stuff to trade off, if you're sacrificing anything, which is what Rakdos loves to do, anything like that, you can recast this from grave as a 3/3 trample haste. So a really good recursive threat that just grinds out a lot of value over time by coming back over and over and over again. For pick number 2, we have a fantastic pack here. Scorching Dragonfire and Nowhere to Run for efficient 2-mana instant speed removal spells, and a Painter's Studio / Defaced Gallery being a really good value play out of red. The draw 2 plus a bunch of extra damage. I love all of these cards a lot, but I think we got to take just the really efficient removal, and either of these two spells works great in the Rakdos build, but I think Nowhere to Run is slightly better, -3/-3, being quite equivalent to 3 damage, except that it can also potentially work better as a combat trick than the other one, right? Like if you have a 3/3 on the board and they have a 4/4, you could block with your 3/3 and then Scorching Dragonfire, and you will kill their creature, but you'll also lose your own. With this, you can -3/-3 that creature, and your 3/3 will just eat their 4/4 without even dying. So I think Nowhere to Run gets the nod there. There is also the very slight upside of shutting off Hexproof and Ward. There's not a ton of that in the format, but that is a benefit as well. Pick 3, I think Percussionist is great in the Rakdos decks. You do like sacrificing cards, and this has a great death trigger. Alternatively, there's some other powerful cards, mainly the Spineseeker Centipede for fixing, the Windbreaker for a Manifest deck. Shroud Stomper is one of the strongest cards to reanimate if you're the dedicated Orzhov deck, but it's a little hard to cast at 7 mana. But I suppose if you're like green-black, you can try ramping into that, do some stuff there, but I think it's a pretty easy Percussionist with the way this draft has started for us. Pick 4 is now a pretty weak pack overall. We just take the sort of filler black removal spell, but it is still cheap, efficient removal. It seems fine. Cultist, even if you are the Rakdos sack deck, doesn't play super well because you have to hit full Delirium, and even there it's a finality counter, so you only get it back the one time. And 1 toughness is a really hard sell on the 3-drop, even if it is going to eventually come back once you're at full Delirium. So I just don't think that card's super good. This pack is super good. Makes me happy to be in black. We have Final Vengeance. Super efficient, but you have to sacrifice something for it. Just a super efficient exile removal spell. Murder, which is just a good 1-for-1 removal spell you don't have to sack anything for. And Innocuous Rats, which is great in Rakdos. Just a really good card to sack. Great death trigger on it. I think, again, we take removal really highly, and I think in Rakdos, Final Vengeance is the better removal spell than Murder, especially if we manage to get more cards like Nowhere to Run that just hit the board, do their thing, and then stick around just sitting there waiting to get cracked to a Final Vengeance or something. So I'm going to take that. I also love that it exiles over putting it in the graveyard. That is relevant pretty often. Pick 6, Cursed Recording is very iffy, very inconsistent, but we're really only taking it over Valuable Slayer and Winter's Intervention here. I don't know. Lords of Limit are like in love with this card, but it has horrible stats, and it just seems awful to me. Like, I guess technically, yeah, if we get a deck just loaded with the Winter's Intervention and Scorching Dragonfires, it will do something. And I did just lose to it yesterday, but I would have lost to any removal, even if they didn't have it. It's just bad, in my opinion. I'm just going to take Most Valuable Slayer here. It's just a really solid filler creature. And look at that, perfectly rewarded. I actually knew exactly what was going to come up in this pack. Objectively correct pick, because now we have the Fear of Being Hunted Most Valuable Slayer combo for first striking attacks with that thing. I am slightly tempted to take another one of these, but Innocuous Rat is way better in Rakdos in a vacuum. So like when I don't specifically have Fear of Being Hunted in hand, Innocuous Rat is almost always better. I think I need to take the Rat, and it's hopefully just going to be easy to get at least like one more copy of Slayer. I don't think I'm going to want like 4 copies unless I get like 4 copies of Fear of Being Hunted, which is pretty unlikely because this one's an uncommon. So I'm going to take the Rat this time. It's just so good in this archetype. Speaking of good in this archetype, the Dual Land. Sure. I think we're pretty locked in here. I mean, we have not missed a single pick. Every single card goes into this deck perfectly well. This is a very nice start to this draft, so we'll just lock in, stay there, take the Razor Trap Gorge. Pick 10. All right, more filler at this point. Balemurk Leech. If we don't manage to get enough 2-drops. Fanatic if we don't manage to get enough 4s. Beastie for filler top end. Found Footage even, a filler draw spell. It helps fuel Delirium if we get cards that care about that, so it can be relevant. But it will also be probably one of the first cards we want to cut. And the absolute MVP, the Forest, as our last pick. Pack 2, pick 1. We got super efficient removal with Withering Torment. It can also blow up enchantments, but there's also Fear of Burning Alive, a bit more expensive, but it can be a removal spell and a creature and shoot your opponent's face. This card is incredible when you have Delirium. It's a massive swing in the board. I'm a big Fear of Burning Alive fan. I think I'm taking it over Withering Torment. This card is good removal, for sure. But it's pretty similar, pretty comparable to like Murder and stuff, which is slightly weaker in this format with the amount of good like 2-for-1s and stuff you have going. And we already got some pretty great removal with Vengeance, Nowhere to Run. Hope we can pick up some more better removal. Plus, Fear of Burning Alive is still basically picking up removal. I think it's fair to take this over Withering Torment in this archetype. Cool, let's go. Pack 2, pick 2. Second copy of Undead Sprinter. That's going to add a good amount of consistency to this deck. We love to see it. We probably can wheel one of these Innocuous Rats, considering there's 2 in here. If not that, maybe a Turn Inside Out, which also plays well in this deck because so many creatures are dying. Pick 3. Okay, finally, this pack is pretty bad. We can take a Terramorphic Expanse, which is okay at fueling Delirium, putting a land into our grave. But it will be a tap land we have to play. Or we can take Derelict Attic, which is okay. Mediocre little draw spell, but it leaves behind an enchantment to sacrifice. I think I'm just gonna go Terramorphic. This also gives us the slightly better fixing. If we see a really strong opportunity to splash, we can do that. I think Nowhere to Run is more than strong enough to take over Most Valuable Slayer. It also plays egregiously well in this archetype, again, being that super efficient 2-mana removal and also the card to sacrifice to your final Vengeance or whatever, so Nowhere to Run here over Slayer. Pick 5, Scorching Dragonfire. All the removal in the draft pot, I guess. These creatures are all very filler. Pick 6. Ooh, Vile Mutilator. That's a lot of mana, but it should be pretty easy for us to have a random enchantment or creature sitting on the board to sack to this and get that really excellent enter the battlefield trigger and have a great top-end finisher. Want some like random ticket booths and stuff. Just solid filler. 3-drop creatures in this deck. Leech or Playmate, both pretty filler. Playmate's probably better for us at this point because we do care about Delirium with Fear of Burning Alive. Get an artifact in the grave. More mediocre card draw or another filler 2-drop for Delirium. Let's take the 2-drop. Yeah, Murder does go real late in this format. We'll probably play it in this deck. Both the Rats came back. Love to see it. Those are incredible for us. Really want to find one of the Signpost uncommons out of the last pack. That is kind of our wish list for when we bust that thing open. Any of those Rakdos Signpost uncommons would go a really long way at this point to making this deck great. Either the 2-mana enchantment that sacks a thing lets us draw 2, and then when we sack it we manifest, or the 3-mana 3/2 menace lets us sack stuff to put counters on it and shoot our opponent in the face. Those would be great. We did not open any of the Signpost uncommons. In fact, this pack's pretty terrible for us. I think we just take a Turn Inside Out. We have so much good removal, there's no world in which we're playing Trial of Agony. So we just grab the combat tricky thing that is good if we stay really aggressively curved, I guess. Yeah, awkward pack to open. Might even be Terramorphic for Delirium. but maybe we can get past one of the sick cards. Ticket Booth is pretty fine. We can also take Final Vengeance for great removal, Percussionist for the death trigger. 8 mana for Awakening Hall to do anything is a lot. The Funeral Room is not particularly impactful. Card plays pretty poorly because it's so expensively costed. I think I'm looking for more cheap expendable stuff like Percussionist. And cut some of the really filler 2-drops here. And Percussionist plays super well with Inside Out. I think I have enough removal to take Percussionist over Vengeance, and I really think it's like one of these 3, maybe the Ticket Booth even at 3. I'm going to take Percussionist there. Not a super exciting pack. Vengeful Possession is pretty good for this deck. Steal their card and sack it if we've got the sack card for it. We don't actually have a ton of sack cards here, honestly. We've got a Final Vengeance. That's about it, honestly. Okay, this might not be the best Vengeance deck, but that's better than Leech for sure. Maybe Boiler Bilge's Ripper. Giving us another way to sacrifice Nowhere to Run for value could be good. I'm still hoping. I think Ripper's still filler enough to hope we get more sack. Okay, another Slayer for the 1 fear of being hunted, or a Scorching Dragonfire to just be on Mega removal. We're on Mega removal. Come on in, Dragonfire. Another Murder, or I can speculate towards Steaming Sauna here. I have 1 Terramorphic. Double blue. 2 colors of, or 2 mana, the splash color is difficult. But the nice thing about the Furnace and the Steaming Sauna is even without the splash color, it always pulls its weight, right? Like we just 2 mana cast it, deal 3 or 4 in the early game. So even if I never hit double blue, the card's going to play fine. It's going to play pretty equivalent to like Winter's Intervention or Scorching Dragonfire or something. But if I do hit double blue, the card's going to win us the game. So like we spend picks on stuff like Peculiar Lighthouse to get towards that. And now I do wish I took the Expanse earlier over whatever I took over it. I don't remember at this point. Because again, for the double blue splashed in Furnace, it would be worth it. Make that more consistent. These cards are pretty bad. This is not splashable because it doesn't have a good, cheap red removal spell attached to it. If this were a split card and I could cast Roaring Furnace as an adventure and then play Fear of Falling later, then sure, but it is not. So I guess I just take a filler 3-drop. I'm really not playing that, I don't think. I'm really not playing any of this. Maybe Commune with Evil, but probably not. Man. All right. I mean, I think this deck is good. It is loaded with removal. Got a decent curve, some really strong creatures at 2 and then like 6 and 7 and stuff. I mean, it doesn't have really a decent curve, but it has decent creatures scattered across this deck. The problem here is we didn't get the really good payoffs for being in this archetype. The really good synergy pieces, I should say. Sprinters are sort of payoffs, but we didn't get any of the signpost uncommons despite this archetype being clearly pretty open in terms of the value of just removal getting passed around in these colors. I think people just were not opening up a lot of the good uncommons for this deck, so we don't get to play around with the Sawblade Skin Ripper or the other one that lets you sack something and draw 2. And those are really, really good cards for this deck, so that's a little rough, but again, still a pretty solid deck. I think certainly better than our last one. And again, since we didn't get a lot of the good sack cards, Possession probably gets cut here. I've got so much removal that we cut the weakest, which is Winter's Intervention for sure. Found Footage pretty slow as well. We're probably still playing Turn Inside Out, but I'll put it in the maybe pile. I'll put it in the most likely of the maybe pile. Leech is pretty bad. Loner's kind of filler. These Playmates are kind of filler too, but they also hit Delirium, which is good. Okay, Clown is super bad. It's really just there because it's 3 mana. I think I'd rather just play another 2-drop than play a Clown. At that point, I'm not in love with Fanatic or Razorkin, but those aren't like instant cuts for me either. And then Beastie's probably kind of an instant cut for me. Okay. Yeah, the Playmates are still my favorite of all these cards that I've set aside, so we'll put those back in immediately. Like to be on at least 15 creatures here. Pretty creature heavy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's put at least 3 creatures back into the deck, which I guess would make it pretty simple if I just put the 3 that I like better back in. Makes the curve awkward. We're not putting another 3-drop back in, but the only other 3-drop option is Vicious Clown, which is so poop. Especially in this deck. Yeah, I'm just cutting these. And then I need to cut 4 of these cards, so I could just cut the 4 at the right, put the turn inside out back in. I could cut a land, but I've got a really strong 6 and 7 drop in this deck. This can sack lands if we're flooding out to draw more cards. I named 3 colors here, so I want as many sources of 3 different colors as possible. I think there's a lot of reasons to actually be on full 17 here awkwardly. Yeah, I don't think I'm cutting a land. Just drop those and kind of got a deck here. I need at least 2 blue sources in the deck to be able to do Sauna, and having 3 blue sources in the deck makes it so I could still manifest one of them into the graveyard and end up finding double blue by the end of the game. Not super likely, but possible. Yeah, there's no way I can cut another blue source here. Might even want to add one. We've got 14 red cards, 11 black. And we have 9 ways to get red mana and 8 ways to get black mana. 9-8 split on the main colors with 4 of the splash color. Kind of sounds like as good as the mana's going to get here, honestly. Think we keep it there, run it like that. Call it a deck, hop into the gameplay, and see how it does. All right, here we are for game 1. Unfortunately, on the draw here. We do have turn 2 Undead Sprinter to start us off, Roaring Furnace for their first threat, and one of our blue sources already towards Steaming Sauna as an endgame win condition here. Just sprints in with the Sprinter here. Because it can keep coming back, we are so happy to trade it with anything. It is the Rakdos mirror match, but of course, opponent is on the play, so they are favored a little bit. When we don't know at all what's in their hand, we assume they're a little bit ahead early. Probably play a little defensively. Not defensively enough to try to block the Sprinter, but... Alright. And this can be recast if any non-zombie creature died, so it counts when I shoot their creature as well. So on turn 4, I could Furnace a creature and recast a Sprinter, which is pretty fantastic. I think that leads to me just playing a Playmate here instead. Trying to grind out as much Sprinter value as possible as well. Yeah, I'm going to need double red, double black on board, so play either of these lands and the other one next turn. Enduring Courage, that's an annoying card for me. Not for Scorching Dragonfire. Sure. Yeah, I was going to say it's annoying because I can't get rid of its ability, but if I exile it, I sure can. I'm going to play a little inefficiently here because we're not really under any pressure. We can probably try to just grind out as much value this game as possible. Try to get ahead in cards. Sure, there's a Playmate. Okay, now I can Furnace. Recast my thing. Cool. Maximum Sprinter value there. It's got Trample too, and their thing's got 1 toughness, so we would hit for 2 still, even if they take the trade. Their thing comes back from grave as well, so it's not the greatest trade in the universe. I mean, I could even try to Vengeance it, or Outrace it here. It's got a 6-drop Fear Burning Alive. I think I'm just stopping this damage and playing for the long game again with the egregiously powerful 6 and 7 drop in hand. Slasher, just a 4/4. Oh my god, that's a draw. Sure, let's take 4 damage for a turn. Blue source here is insane. Alright, let's see if they can break through me drawing 2 cards a turn for the rest of this game. Just need a sorcery in the grave. So as soon as I Final Vengeance, I have Delirium as well. For fear of burning alive. If I grab a Terramorphic, that also does it. Okay, I don't have Delirium yet, so play the Razorkin to trade into the Slasher. I do not need Razorkin to stick around when I have an active Steaming Sauna. So yeah, we can trade off on blocks there. And then if I can get a survival trigger on Cynical Loner, that can also just like put a land in grave for Delirium if I don't want to cast Final Vengeance just yet. This game looks really good right now, but there are some really scary cards like Overlords and stuff our opponent could have. Comeback Wrong is fine. Just a 1/1 removal spell. I guess it gives them access to Razorkin's ability for 1 turn, but I don't even think they really want to do that right now. Yeah, they don't. They just want to play more blockers. Fair. Okay. So turn inside out. I'm not going to have the mana for Fear of Burning Alive if I cast anything else here. So I'm going to try to get the Loner survival. Maybe they'll take the trade. Slightly sad. Then just cast other removal spells. But again, with the active Sauna, I think we're still good. No blocks. Let's go. I can just Fear Burning Alive. Another Swamp looks like the worst land to draw right now, so mill that. Wow, they are also just like almost dead. 4 after that shot to the face. Miasma Demon. They can kill Cynical Loner, and that's it. They're super dead next turn. Got more than enough removal to clear this path. Okay. It is notable Undead Sprinter only comes back if a non-zombie died, so if I sack it to Vengeance because I'm exiling their card, the only thing that's died this turn is a zombie. So I can't Vengeance and recast Sprinter right now. So we Vengeance a rat away, I guess. I mean, it doesn't matter, they're dead. I could Vengeance the Sauna away, and that would work too. I mean, I could even Vengeance the Sprinter away and just hit for 4. There's just a million options. All right. 1-0 heading into game number 2. Here we are for game 2. We are on the draw again. Solid little hand here. Percussionist into Playmate, a turn inside out once they trade something off. To make sure we're keeping some stats on the board. An Innocuous Rat as well for something to play in the middle there before Mutilator in the late game. Friendly Teddy. Everybody draws a card. Could Scorch it, but I think I'm cool with us both drawing a card here. I guess I draw 2 because I get 1 off Percussionist. Please be a land. I believe in you, Percussionist. Ooh, another one. Flip that up if it's going to die. Oh, let's go. It was a land and a tap land. Actual perfection. Appendage Amalgam. Sorcery Speed. Sure. I don't mind Dragon Firing that, but I will be out of removal for now. I think this hand kind of warrants it. Just get damage in here. Be on double blue if I hit Sauna off this Terramorphic. fact, maybe I should have Terramorphic first over the Lighthouse, because technically we might get them down to 13. Get untapped Lighthouses going. Okay. Probably instant speed removal. Yeah, let's hit one less and just play 2/2 drops. And have them kill something weaker. Oh, it's an Amalgam? Alright, we just take the trade there. If I flip it up, I do draw a card, but then I don't kill Amalgam anymore, so... Just take the trade. Get that out of the way. Play 3 power worth of things, and then play the Slayer next turn to buff one of them to hit for 4 next turn. If I play Slayer right now, I hit for 3 next turn. This is slightly bigger. Also plays better against more removal, and as we see from our own deck, Rakdos is an incredibly removal-heavy color pair. In fact, I probably once again play around instant speed removal and just hit them for 1 less damage here. If they have another Amalgam, I guess they get to eat Rat, but I still manifest, which is fine. Nowhere to run, sure. That would not have been big enough for Slayer, so we still could have done that pre-combat. Cool. Get the next blue source here. Just wonderful mana base these first 2 games. They lucked out on the mana draws for sure. I don't even know if we're going to draw Steaming Sauna this game, but obviously it's the only color we would still need for casting anything in the deck. Alright, I mean, the way they're playing does really feel like just 5,000 removal spells. Yep. This would be a beautiful matchup for Steaming Sauna. Drawing 2 cards a turn is a great way to annihilate an opponent that is 100% 1-for-1s. They're just working their way up to their own Vile Mutilator. I've got the murder for it if they are. Do I not cast mine because they'd make me sack it? Well, they wouldn't because I'd have a manifested card still. Yeah, I get to sack the manifested card and keep my Mutilator and then murder theirs. If that's what they have here. And it might not be, like, it could just be recency bias. Like, I'm looking at a Vile Mutilator in my hand, so I, like, feel like, oh, it's probably a Vile Mutilator over there. That is the saddest manifest. Oh, even if they had Mutilator, we make them sack the enchantment, so it doesn't even work. Not even castable. Intervention the face down, that's actually kind of sad. It was legitimately a 5/3. Fanatic my swamp away, you got it. Hit them thrice with a Mutilator and we're there. Oh, they're running the 6 black Doomsday Excruciator? Bold. Bold plays from opponent. Don't you dare Final Vengeance me. I'm going to be so frustrated if I lose a top deck war here. It's a top deck war where I start with a murder and 4 more life than them. Oh boy. But I did mill my best card. Oh man. I'm gonna have to murder an Amalgam so they can't surveil 1 every turn. Because that just wins the top deck war. They're twice as likely to draw their good cards and mill their bad ones. Come on, Arena, please, not like this. It's just the worst that we end up in a top deck war right after milling Steaming Sauna. Oh, come on. You have to be kidding me. And they just top deck one of the biggest mythics in the entire format. Oh my god, I can't even block because they just shoot the sprinter. Oh, what a game to lose, man. And I can't attack here either because they hit for 9. They shoot me for 4, and then Overlord hits me for 5. Wow. What can you do? It's part of magic. Super dead on board. 1-1 heading into game 3. Here we are for game number 3 after a devastating top deck war last round. We are 1-1. We have given our 1 loss to give. We got to win every game from this point on. But I think our deck is really, really solid. So I'm going to do my best to try to make sure if it's capable of doing that, then it does do that. Sure. Oblivious Bookworm. Kill that before the end step. Crack this before our turn. Grab blue. Final Vengeance for the next card. Pretty good draw with the Nowhere to Run on board. Although then we don't have the card for Vile Mutilator. Glimmerlight. Excuse me. Just the 2/2 from Glimmerlight, sure. No need to blow that up. There's Dissection Tools, strongest colorless rare in the format. That is the best draw in our entire deck. Good gravy. Okay. Could Vengeance the Glimmer, just so they can't like play another creature, sack it, and equip, but I think I would rather wait till they've equipped and then kill it on the next turn. Still have to play my land in case I top deck another to play Mutilator. Okay, so Branch Snapper, sack, Glimmer, equip that. No equip. Okay. There's Fanatic. It's a little rough to cast now, but we discard a card and draw a card, and they don't draw. So it's still beneficial to us, but I really don't like sacking Mutilator here. It might be worth it. I mean, they have played a land every turn, I think. It could just still just be like land, where Mutilator's so much better than their card. It's real close. I mean, the really awkward part is I have nothing to sack the Mutilator now that I Vengeance to the 7/6. Because I really can't be sacking the Slayer or the Fear. Okay, Mutilator makes them sack Branch Snapper if they don't have another creature. So Fanatic, discard Percussionist, look for the Mutilator mana, sack the Fanatic to the Mutilator. There's another card to sack. Unfortunately, Branch Snapper is big enough to stop the fear of being hunted swings. Threats around every corner. Manifest a card. If they equip dissection tools by sacking, then I can kill Branch Snapper. But if they don't, then they just end up sacking the 2/2 to the Vile Mutilator. Alright, they do it. So if we hit that land, we kill Branch Snapper here. Locks are pretty horrible. I mean, I could kill it sacking my whole board. That can't be right, though. Death Touch Trample means I'm so dead. If I don't hit the land, it's just hit the land or bust here. Either trade my whole board into it and have nothing to sack the Mutilator, and they still have got one card in their hand, and anything they draw is good with dissection tools hanging about. I just gotta hit the basic here. I cannot be gambling on a top deck war against threats around every corner, tools, and Glimmerlight on their board with just an uncastable card in hand against a question mark in theirs. We just need the land. Basic land or bust. Oh my god. We hit the basic land. Okay, I get to keep my whole board now. And the Snapper's gone, and that's the concession. Fought our way through dissection tools. A little bit of revenge for the Overlord game. Beat a different super good bomb. We take those. Such a fantastic draw, hitting that fear of being hunted with the Slayer on board. That really took us there. 2-1 heading into game 4. Here we are on the play for game 4. Pretty sweet to be on the play here. Try and get nice and aggressive. Drop a 3-power creature. On turn 2, have a Dragonfire to back it up. Can hit Delirium pretty easily off the Loner's ability, and then Loner plus Slayer is pretty nasty too. 4 first striking power. I would only be really sad if I see a Glimmerlight from them. Oh, we got the Fear of Being Hunted Slayer as well, but I don't have double red here. That could be bad. So, hold up a Dragonfire, send in. Let's start milling non-red lands, I think. I could mill an Undead Sprinter, actually. I've got 2 copies of it. Honestly, doesn't seem insane. It's pretty cute. Just drop the Playmate. Pass. I'm gonna get the second blue in case I hit a Sauna. I do need the second black for stuff as well, though. But I like Steaming Sauna, and I want to manifest that into my future. Just gonna show it up like, I'm all ready for you. Come on over, Steaming Sauna. I almost definitely should have played black though, because that's helpful for recasting Sprinter and playing something else as well. Okay, could scorch that thing before they get any value and keep full damage going in here, but I can also just Slayer in and get damage. Like, I can scorch this. It doesn't even matter if it gets a bunch of Eerie if they don't sack it, because I'll just be exiling it later. So we stay aggressive, put more power on this board. I doubt I'm going to have the mana to recast 2 Sprinters in 1 turn, but technically I think I should still do that as the pick, just in case. But then after that, I will start milling non-red lands. You know, probably could have offered the Playmate trade for Vessel still. I should have been more aggressive there. They're on the defensive, and if we kill Vessel before it has any Eerie counters, that's just good for us. Yeah, no, that was... I missed 2 damage there for sure. We definitely should have sent Playmate in. I guess I can still just do it this turn. Might be able to get them to double block, though. Like, I can Dragonfire Keybearer and then send the whole team in. Or just send in a 4-power loner. If they double block Dragonfire, and if they don't, just play like a Razorkin or something. I don't know, this is a lot of damage if I Dragonfire here. It's probably worth. All right. We can pretend that Unwilling Vessel traded for the 2/2 last turn. Oh man, if I had a red source, it'd been so sick there. Mill the non-red sources. Mill the heathens. I already have double blue. Mill an island. There was a mountain on top. Don't show me that. Arena, stop showing me the top card of my library. Maybe I don't want to peek when I'm shuffling. Tunnel Surveyor. That's a lot of blockers. Ooh, the Glimmer can't block the Loner, though. Kind of hilarious. Play Fanatic to draw towards red. Yeah, let's choose post-combat here. One chump, take 2, go to 5. Well, this is why you choose post-combat, because now I can just play a sprinter and get some value here, which feels good. How's my Delirium looking? Just in case I care. Instant artifact creature land. I already have Delirium. So mill the non-red sources. I'm going to play this land. It's probably going to be more important to double spell than be able to just discard a land to Fanatic. With how low they're getting on life here. Another Ghostly Keybearer. They pass. Razor Trap Gorge. That does enter untapped. It's an untapped red source. Huge. Okay. They can kill Loner with Keybearer, but they can't block Loner with the Glimmer. So the Glimmer's going to go on Fear being hunted probably here. I think I still have to first strike the Fear, because then they could just put Keybearer in front of Fear and then like put a 1/1 on the 2/4 or something. I mean, they're at 5, so they would be dead on board. All right, they're just conceding there, so it looks like they don't have anything there, but it was reasonable, I think, to think it out and see what looks best in case they do have something. Like a Winter's Intervention, deal 2, gain 2. Would be pretty nasty here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would still just be worth first striking the Loner there, because then if they Winter's Intervention the Fear, they have really bad trades with Keybearer. Like, they trade with something that just comes right back, where they just bounce off a 2/4. Maybe first strike actually supposed to go on the 2/4. That way the Keybearer dies no matter what it blocks, even if it's a trade. It's probably fine at this point. I don't know. Their hand looks like it was probably just really weak there, because we absolutely just aggroed them out for 3-1 out of this arena draft run so far. 1 win away from some potential gyms to stem the bleeding in the gym number on the account here. Try to get a little bit of our losses back. All right, here we are on the play. Love to see it. It's definitely a keep. The issue is I really want a Terramorphic for blue just in case, but this hand can't afford to do that. I need to be able to have black and red up on turn 2. So I think I have to just Terramorphic for black right now. I still think I have to just play Tapland turn 1, because that leaves me open to Rat plus Vengeance turn 3. Like a double spell, you know, or like Vengeance and Dragonfire if something goes insanely wrong. Like they've somehow comboed off and put multiple Overlords on the board or something. Highly unlikely, but, you know, nice to have the option. All right, this is awkward because I think I'm just going to Dragonfire here. They're blue-white. I think their stuff in blue-white is probably small enough on average to assume that Dragonfire is going to be able to kill a lot of different cards here. So in the name of getting more damage in while we're on the aggressive, I think it could be worth going Rat Final Vengeance so I can get another creature on this board and still keep the path clear. This could blow up in my face if they end up playing like the 4/4 flyer on turn 5. But if they follow this up with just like another solid 3 toughness card, then we definitely would still be casting both these removal spells just in a different order. And by doing it in this order, I'm getting more damage next turn. Like if they play a Gremlin Tamer or something, 100% getting shot. Oh, they are a green deck. Dang. Yeah, I did not have that information earlier. If I had that information, I might not have blown the Vengeance, but blue-white is mostly quite a bit smaller creatures. Lots of really powerful 1/1s and 2/2s that just have incredibly good abilities. But yeah, green is kind of the beef. Go loner here. Sure. Okay, so same either way. We just get something countered. They're not in a position to let anything through. Okay, there's a 2/5. Shoot. Gotta sack a creature to kill that, and then I don't even get to play Playmate in the same turn? That is not good. But I'm very far away from playing Mutilator. Playmate and pass, I think. If I had double red here, I might go for the double up here, trade upwards into the Prowler at the cost of a card. The cost of an extra card. Oh no. They're like 5-color beef? They've got a haunted screen too? Not sure the Final Vengeance play could have gone any worse at this point. Again, if you've played the format a lot and you've seen the streamlined blue-white decks, I think you would understand the reasoning I was going for there. Erasing Gremlin Tamers and stuff, but they're just beef.deck, and that's an issue. It's a huge issue. Honestly, for a lot of our removal, as you can see here. Can double removal the Prowler, and that gives me something to sack for Mutilator. I really just need to be getting my Mutilator mana here. These small removal spells are not helping. Oh, man. I mean, one Final Vengeance would still be very far from enough at this point. The amount of beef they had. One land away from still being sorta in here with Vile Mutilator. Creepy peepee. At least I can blow that up so they can't sack it to Mutilator. This is bad. That's 12 power over there. I have no blocks that kill anything. Go to 3. Alright, another basic land or bust game. Come on, Mutilator. Okay. Still in a really rough spot. They got a counterspell too. Gross. Alright, I mean, what can you do? That lined up as horribly as possible. This game, there was at least something we could have done to have a slightly better chance, which was to not go for the really aggressive Final Vengeance line, but we still just get slaughtered by these giant cards. with the counter spells up for the Mutilator in the end game. We were not flipping that around, period. But it felt slightly more in our control than our first loss, at least, which is nice. Again, I think we always lose. Just was not a good matchup for the draw that we had lined up. But we had that Final Vengeance that could have taken down one of these, which would have given us some extra draw steps potentially by now, had we just scorched the first card instead and played more for a long game. So there's a way we could have played the game out differently, and the game could have maybe gone a little differently, even if it ends in the same result of death, most likely. That is not true for our first loss. That's the one that really, really bummed me out and made me super sad. I think that one was just so brutal. The top deck war there, the Mill of the Steaming Sauna, the Overlord. Yeah, it is what it is. Just had some matchups line up poorly. Lost a coin flip in a top deck war, and that's all it takes when you only have one loss of breathing room in these arena directs. So that's going to be 3-2 this time for this deck. Again, I think we ended up drafting a really nice deck. I don't think there were any egregious gameplay errors. That Final Vengeance line in the last game ended up being too risky, though, because they ended up being a 3-color deck focused on much bigger plays instead of the streamlined blue-white enchantments deck. I think it was a moderately reasonable assumption to think that they were the streamlined blue-white enchantments deck when they started with Island Plains blue-white signpost uncommon. But you can never know 100% for sure. Sometimes they go Island Plains, signpost blue-white uncommon. Oops, surprise, I'm all beef. Here's a bunch of 6-drops. It happens. Yeah. 3-2 it is for this draft, and that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.